to Current Cinema, everybody. Episode 10. And how you say that in German, I forget. This is not a cultured podcast. I never said it would be. So anyway,
that's fair.
My name is Jeff. I'm joined again by Kyle this week. We're gonna get so freaking in the weeds right away because last weekend was stupid and disrespectful to every cinephile's free time. Mine specifically, because I went to the theater 6 times. 5 times. 6. Twice in one day for sure. I know that much happened.
Too many times. Yeah.
That was a blur. It was all a blur. It was all a fever dream. Like
might have all been one movie that you just saw.
So originally we titled the segment "What Did You Watch?" and I'm changing that. I'm changing the name of it.
Episode 10. You're making big changes, buddy.
Please don't leave the podcast based on this name change.
It's a huge change.
I'm calling it "What You Watching."
Okay. What's you watching?
Huge change. Yep. Huge.
Sounds like you just smushed a couple words together.
Yeah, that's all it is. That used to be a regular thing when I, lived with my parents or whatever. I'd be watching anything, and somebody would come, "What you watching?
What you watching?
I'm watching. Shut up! I don't want to talk during it. That's what I'm watching."
Come on, let me break concentration and explain to you something you don't care about, honestly. You're just being nice.
Exactly. You're just being nice, and you're walking into the middle of the thing. You're not going to understand any of this. Yeah. Anyway.
What's it about?
So, did you come with do you have both new movies, or do you have like an old movie too you want to discuss? I'm just curious.
I actually don't have an old movie, so if I could do 2 new movies, just kind of like...
I'm doing all new.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's a different type of movie, dude.
Actually, I heard all old things suck, so we're done.
Oh yeah, that's true. You know what? That is true.
We're over it.
Old is old for a reason. It's in the past, and
Dune 2's coming out. You didn't see Dune 1? Too late. It's old. Sucks.
Too late. It's
Sorry,
old.
man.
Yeah. You literally missed out. That's my logic on gaming too. If you missed out a few years later, just don't even bother. You missed it completely.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Witcher 3?
That's how we treated. Yeah. Done. I mean, I treat games the same way. Where I'm like, I'm not playing that. That's just 4 years old now. You know? You imagine the movies. You're like, I'm not watching that. Dude, it's Endgame. Everyone has seen Avengers Endgame. And you're like, it's old.
It's like 3 years old now. So
can't get to it. Sorry.
No. 4 years old now. Jesus Christ. Time. Come on, man. Anyway, so I'm just going to start off with, I'm going to brush through as many as I can, because there's some that I don't need to say a lot about.
Cool.
But I'll go to you, like, I'll alternate, obviously. I'm going to list a few and then go to you.
Yeah, burn some, yeah.
So the first one I want to burn, and I'll reserve this for later whenever you eventually see it, unless you did manage to see it. I don't know if I say it Quasi or Quasi. But
I think it's Quasi because Quasimodo.
Okay, I was like, Quasimodo? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it's the Broken Lizard interpretation of it's like a parody of the Quasimodo movie.
I really wanted to get this, and probably still will.
So. Oh, okay. So I'll hold off on a lot until you see it, if you want to end up talking about it on here. Yeah. But I think it was okay. Like, I had an okay time with it. Some things made me laugh. Most of the time,
that's how I felt about Super Troopers too. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. That's how I felt about that. I feel like Tacoma FD is like really like their sweet spot right now. That show is really good and funny.
And for people who are starting that, the second season, I feel like they're less restricted by certain censorships, and they kind of heavier into maybe the jokes that you're used to them making. Whereas I felt like first season was a little softball.
I think so too.
Yeah. I need to get back into that show. I got all the way through season 2, and I
think that's all that's been out. We've been like waiting forever for the next season.
I'm waiting with everybody. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think they went off to do Quasi, and I think that's been the delay, really. Like, I know they finished filming the new season last year, because I recall seeing a social media post from the really attractive blonde girl that's in the show. I recall seeing her social media post going, "Hey, we wrapped," and I was like, "Cool, give us the season then."
Yeah.
It might be like a fall release, I think, or summer. Summer is kind of usually a dry period. But anyway, I thought it was okay. It's what you'd expect from a parody movie from them, of a story that you're familiar with. And their humor is, for me, it's like hit and miss. Like, there's some movies that I think you like Beer Fest more than me, but granted, I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, okay. I think Beer Fest is their most popular besides Super Troopers. So
right. Super Troopers I obviously loved. That was like, that was nomenclature for like all of us at that age, at that period of time. But this movie's You could skip it, and I wouldn't even be
what's
like,
what's your feels on Club Dread?
I actually like that movie, but I think I saw it at a time where I really wanted to like it because I was so excited for them to come out with a new movie. That I'm not sure if it's actually good or not.
Yeah, I like it, and I've seen it so many times that I can quote it. So now it's like reached beyond the point of me being objective about it. Gotcha. So it's one that I like. Though.
Go back and rewatch it because I know it's like a parody on like modern slashers and stuff. Yeah, like homage and.
No, parody homage. Yeah, it's silly. Exactly. It's very silly. Yeah.
Quasi is way more parody than just paying homage and also having jokes. Like Club Dread. I think they were genuinely trying to tell a story in that movie.
There was a story. Yeah, there was a mystery. Like you were kind of like, oh, that was the killer.
But there were jokes peppered in, for sure. There were Super Trooper level jokes peppered in. But anyway, that's Quasi. And then next one I want to touch on is Somewhere in Queens. This is Ray Romano or Deborah. I can't do it.
I would really try, but I'm not going to nail it. So I'm not going to get really close.
You got to sound like Kermit, but like from Queens, apparently.
I could probably do his brother better than him. So.
The deep voice.
Not going to try that either. Nope.
Right, Jared, how's it going, Dad?
Raymond,
Dad, or whatever. I don't know. I don't watch the show. Anyway. But this is a movie where there's really not like, you're going to hear me say this quite a bit about a few movies that I saw that are like indie, and this is an indie movie. There's really not like a story to really talk about. Like it's about Ray Romano he's married to Laurie Metcalf, who I love that she's like having this like resurgence after Lady Bird, and now she's in The Conners, and now she's in this. She's always been a great actress. It's just like I feel like the limelight kind of shifted away from her after Roseanne or whatever, and Scream 2, I guess. But anyway. They're married and they have a kid who's graduating high school, and he is a great basketball player. Like he's one of the best in the whole town. But he's not sure what he wants to do in his future. So it's really about every single member of that family. And it is like a small family where it's just one kid. But every single one of them has an arc of some sort. And Ray Romano's character is just Ray Romano. Like he's very similar to Everybody Loves Raymond, where the joke is in the title. Everybody doesn't love Raymond. Like it's kind of the same thing where he feels very insignificant in his family. But it's more of a dramatic version of that. Just with some Ray Romano jokes peppered in there where he's like, no, I didn't sex her. Like, he makes random comments that you're like, that's a Ray Romano-ism. Like, right. So if you like Ray, you're going to like the movie. And the movie does have enough heart for people that aren't necessarily Ray Romano fans to appreciate it too. But it's not like, rush out and see it now. There's a lot of conventional stuff in it. What's another one? I'll just touch on this one right away. This is the movie I did not like at all on any level. I gave it like a star and a half on Letterboxd. It's an indie movie called Showing Up. And this one has recognizable people in it. Michelle Williams is the lead. Hong Chow is like her neighbor / landlord. There's some other recognizable faces in it too. Judd Hirsch is her dad in it. You'll recognize faces. I can't remember names though.
Sure.
But there's not really a story. Michelle Williams lives alone, and she's part of like an art community, but they kind of make shitty art. And I don't know if that's deliberate or if that's trying to be like indie, like it's trying to be like indie in a sense that people mock, like, oh, this is like this little masturbatory indie movie or whatever, like talking about culture and stuff like that. And it's a hippie movie basically. And it moves at a snail's pace, dude. It's one of the most boring movies I've ever sat through in my life. I fell asleep, I think 3 times. And the third time, I woke myself up with a noise that I always accuse my mom of doing when she falls asleep during a movie. I woke myself up with a, and I was like, shit. So that was more entertaining and suspenseful than the movie was me going,
You're like in loud. I'm sleep, and then you shocked away. Coming back to reality.
I woke myself up with a moan, and it was a very quiet movie. So I spent the rest of the movie going, did anybody else hear that?
It's fun when you can hear like the tail end of a noise you're making as you're waking up. That's fun. Yeah. You're like, whoa, that was like a shadow of a noise just now.
I hope that wasn't a longer than a second.
It is funny if you're sitting there like 10 minutes.
But yeah, it's artsy fartsy in the way that people mock it to be that way. But if you look at Letterboxd reviews, you wouldn't know that, or critic reviews. this is one of those really slow burn movies that have no plot that critics, cinephiles tend to love, and I don't get. I throw up my hands and I go, "What is wrong with you?" Like, I don't get it. But anyway, those are three that I'll start off with. What's a movie that you've seen?
I want to talk about a movie that you brought up a couple months ago on here.
Cool.
Creed 3. Just because I want to loop back around to that. Because I'm new, I think we talked about Creed 2 a little bit, and I was like, oh, I really like that. I wanted to get ready for this movie. The movie was pretty ready right afterwards. And man, this movie is awesome.
Yeah.
I am, and I know, no one's got to agree with me on this. This is like such a try-hard opinion. I am not a huge Michael B. Jordan fan. I think he's like mids at best. Wow. However, I think he directed the shit out of this movie.
He did.
I thought he was spectacular. I actually thought he did well in the movie too, for someone who's a hard critic, on him. But I thought like that movie was working on all cylinders for me. Jonathan Majors is great. So he's going through some shit, whatever, but like Jonathan Majors is awesome in that movie. You hired
Jonathan Majors, he's going to show up and kick ass.
He showed up and gave like 200%. It was outstanding. And there's a whole montage that's just like girl eye candy that even I was like, sick, dude. I want to get ripped like these guys.
Yeah.
Look how like they're like tossing tire. It was awesome. Yeah. I really liked it, and I like how every movie has its montage.
I agree. Like Creed 2 had one that was more focused on punishment. Like he was like, how am I going to take a beating from a guy that's this much bigger than me? He's clearly roided out. Whatever. How am I going to endure? And so Creed 2 is just him taking punishment in the heat and like just trying to take a beating. And then this one is just more of a traditional one, but it's them doing pretty much identical workouts, right? They're both doing identical workouts, but just in different different areas of the city.
Yeah.
And using like I think Jonathan Majors is still like kind of like not broke, but he's not as rich as Michael B. Jordan's character Creed.
Yeah. But he's on the rise and he's spending.
Using makeshift equipment and stuff like that. Whereas Creed has this whole setup or like this whole elaborate setup and stuff. Yeah. So it's a more traditional. I think all around is a more traditional boxing movie. Like Creed 2 felt like it was juggling a lot. And Creed 3 was, there was some stuff with his kid, but they didn't.
Creed 3 was way more straightforward. Oh, the kid stuff was fine. Like that felt like such a B or C story. Like there is a strong A story here that they don't really deviate from. Mm-hmm. There are some side characters, some stuff with his mom, that's kind of sad. There's some stuff with his girlfriend too, or his wife now, But like the real like story is within that A story, which is those two kind of. Yeah, and really well told. I really like the whole dynamic of.
Oh, me too, man.
Of that, and kind of like how like Creed was maybe a little in the wrong, and maybe he's a little justified, Jonathan Majors, in being so mad, in the movie, not in real life. So like I really liked all that. I before we spend too much time on maybe stuff we already talked about, I do want to talk about some of like the anime stuff that I caught.
Yes,
because I thought he's such a huge anime fan, and I caught two big ones which I wanted to focus on, and some smaller ones, but I just wanted to focus on the big ones. The Uneasy Alliance, where Drogo comes back. This movie's been out. I'm going to spoil it a little bit. Sorry, everybody. And he's his training partner, Like, that is such a Dragon Ball Z move. You're like, well, I'm going to call upon an enemy to help train so I can get a little better and stuff like that. There's a total anime thing to do. Uneasy Alliance, super, super cool. And I also really like the, gut punch. And like it cuts to Creed's back, and you see like the sweat like explode off his back. It's so extra, but it's in every single anime ever. And I
think he shouted out that shot specifically when he was doing Tim Miller, the director of the first Deadpool, interviewed him, and I don't know if you remember, Tim Miller because Tim Miller's a producer executive producer on Love, Death, and Robots, and Michael B. Jordan did that one episode that was kind of like a lifelike. Video game-ish, Halo-ish, whatever, aliens, stuff like that. He did that one episode. So that's where their camaraderie came from. But anyway, it was a Directors Guild interview, and that was like Michael B. Jordan was trying to explain anime to Tim Miller. And even though Tim Miller's doing an animated show, he's kind of in the dark on a lot of that. So Michael B. Jordan's kind of like explaining to him like, this is what's anime about it. Like he did call out that shot specifically.
That's super interesting. Yeah, the close up uppercut to the gut, or the gut punch, or whatever. The close in on the face. Ooh, it's all shot for shot anime. I really liked all that stuff. This is a guy who is making the transition from acting to directing, and he's bringing along his like love of stuff with him, and I think that like having a signature or having something that you're trying to parade or celebrate or whatever, I think that's always good for new creators to lean on. And utilize, because all of us anime nerds are watching that and going, oh
not me.
I know that. So cool, good movie. I liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
Me too.
And just
there was the B and C story stuff that I kind of wish they focused on, because I felt the Creed 1 and 2 did that really well.
They did. The other two movies were better at juggling stories.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think about like where Sylvester Stallone would have fit into all this, and he just wouldn't have.
He wouldn't, and he would not have moved from Philly to LA. It did not make sense for him to be.
Yeah.
Unless he did like a phone call. He was like, I don't know what to do.
I actually thought something like that was going to happen, but I figured that would have gotten spoiled for me. So.
Yeah, exactly. That would have totally. Yeah, there would have been like that weekend.
He came back all along.
Yeah. There would have been an article that was like, how did they get that cameo? And I'm like, okay, everybody knows who they mean.
All right, thanks. Yeah. It's for sure not Carl Weathers. He's dead. So
I'll definitely backtrack a little bit on the Michael B. Jordan thing. That dude does kind of skate by a little bit on him being super attractive.
Dude, that guy is a 20-something, maybe 30-something now. Very attractive young man. I get it. He works
out like hard.
No, he shows up for the role. I just don't know if he can break through the next barrier, whatever that is.
I agree. No, I'm with you. I get that. Like with Jonathan Majors, which I don't know that he's going to have a straight to DVD career after all this thing clears up with him. But he had more Denzel potential, like the type of actor, like the type of like
a legacy actor, man.
Yes, where you're like, get that guy. This movie's gonna be great. Whereas Michael B. Jordan's a little too. There's something in his delivery that's a little stiff sometimes. Even though he can emote, he can clearly be an emotional person in a scene when he needs to be. But there's more to acting than that. There's like dynamics and stuff like that.
He did good in this movie, though. I don't want to dump all. I feel like maybe not around to a lot of people. People know me as like, oh, you just don't like Michael B. Jordan. I'm like, it's not that I don't like him. It's that I feel like he's where he's gonna be at forever. That's why I really like. Yeah. I really like this lateral move of directing, because there might be a cool, interesting future there if he really wants to make some movies.
I agree. Yeah, directing was a good call, and he's been very good in almost every role I've seen him in. The only exception being Fantastic, but like that movie sucked on
Fantastic.
Yeah, a gajillion levels. So I mean,
everybody in that movie is a great actor, and they all sucked. So.
They were all terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's hard to be like Michael B. Jordan sucked in that movie. No, everybody did.
Everybody did, because they all knew this is a train wreck, right? What are we doing?
Yeah.
But anyway,
the director was throwing fits in his hotel room or whatever he was doing.
Right, whatever. He was like trashing hotel rooms and being
You're a rock
reckless.
star, you giant dork. You're not a rock star.
Yeah, what a loser, man. That's loser behavior, in my opinion. But anyway, and then he went and made that horrible Tom Hardy as Capone movie. At least it was a big swing. I'll give him that. But my God.
Movie?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it did come out. Awful. People might forget about that, but because it was talked about.
Tom Hardy wearing a lot of old makeup that is not convincing at all.
No, it was just weird. It was a weird movie. Not in a good way. Not in a play. Speaking of weird, let me just dive into the weird right now.
Nice. This is a good.
Beau Is Afraid. Let's do it. This movie is Ari Aster, and so just from that, his name being on the project as the writer director. I was like, cool. One of my most anticipated of the year then, like immediately, because Hereditary and Midsummer, that's how you say it, by the way. Stop saying Midsommar. Nobody says it like that in Sweden. They're like, yeah, Midsummer. Like, they don't say Midsommar. Stop it. Yeah. Stop it. Yeah. I love those movies. Those to me are like masterpieces for what he was going movies. For. I feel like they were masterpieces. So that was my excitement level for this one, was maybe a little too high. I didn't really check my expectations a little bit. And I should have known going in that this was going to be not going to be the same movie as those other two at all. Like, this was going to be out there. He was able to do things that he maybe wanted to do in the first two movies, but he couldn't because he was kind of constrained to financiers, whatever.
You got to make
test audience,
also.
And now he's just like completely untethered by to all that. Like, he's just completely unhinged in this movie. Like, this is like his David Lynch movie, basically, where mileage will vary based on who's watching it. Like, I feel like you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I love David Lynch. So yeah,
the average person's gonna be like, "What the hell was that?" Like,
are reviews that way, or how are critics like?
I would say so. I would say even critics are pretty split on it. Like audiences too, but nothing's dropped the aggregate score below 70. So it's not like it's terrible.
Yeah.
But people that don't like it, like are just like, what? Why did I watch that movie? What the hell? You know how Ari Aster so far has those moments in the third act, especially in like the final few scenes, where you're like, who? What? Like you just
sure.
So even though the whole movie has that strange surrealness, fever dream element to it, where crazy things are happening, but it's actually really funny. It's a fantasy comedy most of all. It's fairly scary. It's unsettling, sure, but it's not really scary. It's like scary like Midsummer was, where it's just like that movie's just unsettling. Hereditary was scary. Midsummer was unsettling, and this one had unsettling moments, but it was all these layered jokes, like visual jokes, and just very offbeat. But even having that weird experience in the first two acts, like there's a third act reveal that you're like, what the hell? Like you just can't explain or wrap your head around.
Yeah.
You can't even, as an analogy, you can't even make it make sense. So it was very bizarre. In a fun way, like in a fun, like what the hell, like you're laughing, like what is going on right now? Yeah, the jokes they play really well. Like I think by the third act, everybody in the audience, there weren't a lot of us, but everybody was kind of laughing and getting that it was a comedy. I was already on board right away. Like there's a shot in the trailer where you see him walking down the street and there's a gun booth and there's a kid playing with an AR-15. It's in the trailer, like, but that shot is way longer in the movie where it's just chaos around him. Everywhere. Like it's just freaking consumerism, like, guns, people shouting, people killing each other. It's freaking chaos. And he's just going to the store to his, he's going from his therapist to his apartment. So it really does capture like what goes through the mind of a person with anxiety about the rest of the world. Like what goes through their head. And it's almost like what you're envisioning as a worst case scenario in your head is actually playing out in the movie.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it like a fever dream. Is you're like nobody acts this way naturally or organically. It's very freaking weird in a fun way. Like
it kind of sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll really like it. It's just carving out that my biggest hang up was the runtime. Like there's a 45-minute stretch where I'm like, you could have cut all this. Like this is wild.
This is all cutting room floor material. Yeah.
You could have, and apparently there's like a 4 hour.
That is not fun to feel that way when you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow, this is still going, huh?
Like I loved the third act. I don't think I loved the very, very end, but there's a part right before the very end that I loved because it was just like that's the big what the hell moment. I don't think I loved the very end. Not as much, certainly not as much as I did Hereditary or Midsummer. But I loved the first act, most of the second act. Then there's a part where he goes in the woods. Kind of loses me there. That's where I'm like, you could have cut a lot of this. Like you could have just had him gone from that house to wherever he was trying to get to the whole movie. I didn't even explain the plot, but that's because it's not really. Just look at the title. Joaquin Phoenix plays Beau, and he's afraid of the world. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And he's he has mommy problems. That's really the whole movie.
Sure.
But I don't have to sell you on it. I know you're gonna like it. You're gonna like it a lot.
Yeah, I think I'd really enjoy this movie.
Yeah. I think moving on to another one. I'll just shout out probably my favorite one that I watched over the weekend. Yeah, I forget how to say it. I think French people say it differently, but I think it's pronounced Chevalier.
Okay.
But they say the A differently. I don't know. I could, like, as I was hearing it in the movie, I was like, is that how you say Chevalier? Chevalier? I couldn't, whatever. But anyway, it's a true story about this guy, Joseph. Is it like it's spelled like bologna, but it's pronounced like Bologna or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Who was actually like one of the first like black composers in Europe, period. Like one of the very first ones in the era of Mozart and Beethoven. Like all those guys existed at the same time. But because the French and pretty much the rest of the world have extremely racist history, Napoleon especially No, really? Napoleon, especially. This isn't in the movie, but I just know the history that Napoleon, when he took over, he reinstated slavery, and they tried to just basically erase this guy's music completely. So yeah, it's just about him pretty much in his prime. Like he's a mixed race child. His dad owned slaves and had clearly raped one of the slaves, and hence the child was born. And they took him from a very young age. He was pretty much groomed to be like this amazingly intelligent, amazingly talented violinist and composer. So they moved him from where his dad lived on some estate to an actual school for talented kids and stuff. So the movie follows that trajectory, and then it follows him trying to become the head of an opera house or whatever. And all of this sounds like, oh, historical drama, who cares, yada yada. But it's like extremely well done. Like it's the dialogue's really witty and like. Nice. And Samara Weaving's in it, and I love her. She's amazing.
She's great. Yeah.
Trying to remember who else is in it. There's a ton of names in this movie. The guy who plays her husband is like a bad guy in every movie I've ever seen him in. He's so good.
Is it French? Is it in French?
It's in English, but they treat English as if they're. It's kind of like the. Is it Kingdom of Heaven or is it Glad? Which movie is it that they?
Kingdom of Heaven, they're all not speaking English the whole movie. You're just like buying in that they're speaking whatever. I think it is French.
Yeah. Oh no, I think it was like 13th Warrior did it, and
13th Warrior, they're speaking like Scandinavian, yeah, like because he picks up on it.
He picks up on it, and then it switches to
English. For the rest of the movie, everyone speaks.
And
English,
actually, I think Valkyrie did that too. The Tom Cruise and that pedo Bryan Singer. Yes, I called him a pedo. Screw that guy.
That guy Bryan touches Singer kids. Movie. That's what you call.
Yeah, he diddled kids. But that movie starts.
There's another
with him,
word. Let me know. Yeah.
That movie starts with Tom Cruise writing a letter, and he's speaking in German, and then it just slowly shifts to English, and you're to understand. Okay, English is German in this movie. Basically, that's what it is. It's the same exact thing.
There's a literary term for this, and I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either. But there's a part where
I'm glad I brought it up to not deliver. So.
There's a part where he does. That's funny. There's a part where he does reunite with his mom at one point, and she's still speaking like some African dialect. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant. But as she's speaking it among other, let's just call them slaves. They're still working in a house, and they're not getting paid. Let's be real. And they're talking in their own language, and he goes, "We talk French in this house." And I'm like, but you're speaking English. So you're supposed to understand that it's...
Remember that they're
speaking they're in France. Yeah, exactly. And the music's freaking amazing, but obviously it's all from that stuff from that time that actually existed. So
where
of
like
course
good
it's
music was actually being created.
Yeah, exactly. There's some really good drama, really good tense moments. It's definitely my favorite of the weekend. It's not like 5 stars, but it's really good.
This is a sell for me. I think I'd check this out. I like period pieces.
I think you'll love it from the intro because it's him like doing like a violin, like almost like a rap battle, but with violins against Mozart, and it's just such a great scene.
Oh man. Cool. All right.
Yeah. I have, how many do I have left? I have Evil Dead Rise, The Covenant. That's all I have left. We'll go. Let's go to you. What else do you have?
So I saw Scream 6 last night. Yeah. People die. It's crazy. No, well, I
not as much as the characters said they would, but
man, this movie's a lot of fun. It's 2/3 of a really awesome movie, I'd say.
I agree with you. Completely.
But like I really like the 2/3 that I really enjoy. To a point where like I almost kind of excuse the third act because I kind of see what they were going for, but I'm still like, boy, you just tripped all over yourself all the way there, though.
Yeah.
But I thought the change up of scenery was really cool. You're finally out of that stupid city. I know we've been to Hollywood and stuff like that before, like in this franchise, but it was just cool to like explore kind of new territories and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed a lot about like what we'll call like the kill venues in this movie. There's a lot of really there's a lot of really interesting scenes.
I call them set pieces, even though it's still a Scream movie, which means the set pieces are more intimate. But they are kind of in a way a horror set piece where they go up on the apartment and they're above. There's ladders between 2 windows in an apartment building.
Right.
That's a set piece.
You would call it if you could call bodega, something,
you know?
Yeah, if you could call something by a singular word, I feel like it's the dam scene from GoldenEye, or it's the it's the bodega, it's the ladder scene. I feel like they did a really good job of like really nailing but it's the subway scene, They do a really good job of nailing like singular like places that just are really interesting places for like a Scream movie to be taking place in. I'm saying all these words here like ladders and bodegas. That sounds dumb, but like for a Scream movie, we're out of like party houses and like suburban streets and stuff.
Whatever town, Woodsboro, whatever the hell the name of the town was.
Woodsboro, yeah, something like that. Yeah, I really liked it. The kids, I almost don't remember anything about them from the last movie. But like I actually kind of like them in this movie. They're all kind of like quirky and they have like their own kind of like personalities and stuff now. But like the last movie, I was just like, y'all are all like red shirts. Where's Nev Campbell?
Right.
But like her moving out of the way kind of gave everybody else room to breathe, and even Gale like it has kind of a big part in this movie and stuff too. But like I really enjoyed.
Just refuses to grow, and I think that's the funniest part of the whole franchise.
We were talking in chat where I was just like, so she's just a bitch again. Like they just undid all of her character development. But I wasn't saying it like from a place of criticism or being mad. I'm just like that's what we're doing, I guess. She is kind of a bitch. I could see a character like that slipping back into old ways.
Especially after spoilers for Scream 5, Dewey got murdered. Like I could see her easily being like, well, I'm just gonna relapse.
And maybe that's a good segue without spoiling too much. Like the last movie had like a good death like Dewey. This movie doesn't really have that. There's not a oomph death where you're like, oh no, I'm not talking visually. There's a lot of really cool looking deaths, but like like a character falling off the chessboard, like that didn't really happen in this movie. In a way that like was impactful.
That was kind of the frustrating part. We'll just talk about. I'll put the timer for like 5 minutes, but if we go shorter than that, that's fine. Okay, and we're going. So
talking
spoilers on Scream 6. Okay, so there is a whole speech, and this is in one of the two acts that you mentioned. There's a whole speech that the girl gives. I can't remember her character's name, but she's giving a speech about how this is like a franchise, or she calls it
the Jamie Kennedy character.
Yes, she's the Jamie Kennedy equivalent, and she's basically explaining like, okay, anybody can die, even the main character. She is hyping this up excellently. Like the writers hyped it up so beautifully, to the point where I was like, you can't. Like I was like side-eyeing everybody, even the main character. I was like, who could it be? And it made me think that anybody could die, even the main character.
They had kind of had me going that anyone could be the killer. I'm like, any of these people could have broken, through PTSD and like just started like going crazy. Like they set up a lot of expectations, in this movie, and then didn't pull the trigger on any of them.
Right.
Great speech though, really well written. It got me where I needed to be.
Yes,
it just
got me mentally.
It kind of felt like I got fluffed and didn't get finished.
Yeah.
Like, just like, okay, like what do I do with this now?
Well, the finale was the theater. Like the subway scene happens. The girl that gave the speech that we just mentioned, whose character's name we can't remember, she gets stabbed or whatever. It kind of looks like it was like at least 5 times. Like
she gets stabbed. I kind of at least twice, but one of them was like a twist. Like like where
yes, the one where you're like, oh, they're dead. Okay, they're dead.
Yeah. The one where if you see that in any movie, like a stab and a twist, you're like, oh, that person's not making it. But like, she's quipping 5 seconds later.
She is, yes.
She's getting pulled out of the subway, and she's like, oh, quippy, quip, and I'm like, this okay. And there was another character, the Gale almost died, and they're like, she's still got a slight pulse. I'm like, you pussies, like you couldn't pull the trigger on Gale.
Line, and I don't even I think it was an ADR line too, because I don't think the character that was talking was in the shot. I think it was a line that was in edited into the audio later, where they go, oh yeah, Gail's in the hospital, she's gonna pull through, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here, because Gail gets attacked, and I like that scene too.
That scene,
her husband gets taken out. That's a cool scene where he's like kind of stealthily doing it and stuff. But the theater is just, that's where things kind of completely go, not completely to shit, but it's something resembling shit.
Shit adjacent.
Yeah, exactly. Shit adjacent, something resembling. Yeah. So there's the guy, is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son. Whatever. He gets stabbed.
Is that Cuba Gooding? Oh my God, he looks like him.
You see? I don't see the resemblance. That's funny.
Oh, I see it, and I see it like from here, like right here. I totally.
Oh, that's
see
interesting.
It,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he gets stabbed. He gets jumped by 2 of the killers, and the other 2 main protagonists are like kind of being pulled away. Like, no, we gotta run. And he is being like obliterated with knives, right? Like just nonstop, like 30 times.
Two people are stabbing him 30 times each. He's got to have 60 wounds in him. But the whole movie builds like I actually really like him. So when that's happening, I'm like,
it was tragic.
I like him. You know? He's a cool character.
And they built him up to be a love interest for Jenna Ortega's character. I'm glad they gave her a lot to do because she's a huge star now. I
feel like if there were reshoots, a lot of it was like making her more of a part of the movie.
Right. Yeah, but I feel like if they had killed him off, they would have set themselves up for her to potentially be a killer in the next movie because of PTSD or something.
Yeah, he gets wheeled out on the scene, and they're like, he's gonna make it too, and I'm like, fuck off, dude, that guy. Like I know, like in the Slender Man murders, you know, like those two girls stabbed that other girl 70 times, and she lived, and she's just a little girl, so I know it's possible to live from so many stab wounds.
Like, maybe they were tiny, but like little girl. I'm just saying.
Yeah. She's little. They're tiny, you know, and the little girls are little. They can't stab really hard, you know. But like these are 30 grown-ass adult stabs, you know, like it's
with big knives too, and sometimes they twist the knife. But the killers. So the killers being family. It's a very Scream 2 heavy influenced movie because the killers are family members of Ritchie from Scream 5, who is he's another nepo baby. What's his name? Something Quaid.
Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid.
So, like, the family stuff makes complete sense. I'm fine with it, but the actors were hamming it up to a point where it made me cringe. Like, it was not fun camp to me.
No.
It was just
it felt like it skipped camp and went straight to, like, just awful to me. And I didn't really like this is my reaction when the reveal was happening. It was like the dad was like, I'm the killer. And I'm like, okay. And
crap.
Oh shit.
We'll go a little bit longer. We'll go a little bit longer.
Yeah, I go, okay, you know, like that, whatever, that's fine. And then it's like this is my son. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of figured it was that guy because he was always missing when other people were dying, so that's whatever. And then like Quinn, who's like dead, like the daughter, like she's supposed to be dead. Even when she took off, even though she died, I was just like, yeah, okay.
I actually was like, she's probably one of the killers because we didn't see her die.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing her die.
You see a picture of her from like the dude across the way.
Right. So I was like, okay, she's probably one of them. And but just their performances were just felt like from a completely different movie. Like it belonged in a different movie. It was really weird. And then the staging of the action too was like really just stilted and unappealing to my eyeballs. Like,
well,
it was just a weird finale. Like it just didn't hit.
There's even a moment, and like I realized there was so much corny shit going on between Jenna Ortega and her sister too. Where let me go, you have to trust me, and it's like, okay, I'm like, there are two people trying to kill you. How are y'all having so much time to have this like heart to heart while she's like dangling? I'm like, this is so dumb. And then like when she drops Jenna Ortega, she drops directly into a knife. And then stabs the guy, you know, like, but you still got stabbed in the stomach, you know?
Yeah, you did.
And she's like 5 seconds later, hero walking away from the camera, no limp, no nothing. Like, she's just like, in this universe, we can just take chest wounds, you know, with knives, not a big deal. I got big main character energy, you know, and I'm like, Like, it's like, don't stab her then. What's the point of if there's no consequences, don't stab her.
In our chat, in our chat, you were like, it's plot armor, and I was like, yeah, but the plot didn't even demand that they live anymore at that point. Like, just kill them. Like, just have some balls and kill them. Like you said it earlier in the movie.
Everyone's just walking around like with the biggest plot armor, but boy, those two first.
And then it was almost like the ending of War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise one, where even the dog lives at the end. I expected a fucking dog to come up at the end and be like, "Oh, hey, Fido!" Like,
I made it.
It's happy at the end of the movie. It was ridiculous. And I know that they're like kind of alluding to maybe Sam having, inheriting her dad's psychosis or whatever. Maybe there's going to be some payoff to that. I don't think so at this point because they don't have the balls
for it. And stop bringing him back because he looks really rough. You're trying to make this like 50-year-old dude look like a 19-year-old, and like it is not working. You can do his voice, like we get it. Like she's Billy Loomis's, like daughter. Like we get it. Like it's fine.
I know. Just have her, just have a flashback to this. The footage doesn't look that old. Just do flashback footage from the first movie.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, but they don't have the balls to make her the killer, so I don't.
Anyway, but overall, you and I feel this pretty much the same on the movie. It's a fun time. So
I had a really good time with it. And I thought it did a really good job of, like, again, when I say like pushing the boundaries of, like, horror, you're talking about just taking the tropey like settings of these types of movies and like moving it to a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that they use New York to the fullest or anything, but like it was just nice to get out of similar territories and just have kind of new kill venues and new set pieces.
I agree, and I hope they do it again. I hope they go to Europe or some shit next time.
I want it Europe or like a rural farm or something like that. You know, like I don't know, just change it up. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like we're gonna go to Joshua Tree and do some mushrooms, and there's a fucking killer on the loose or whatever.
Yeah, it's a ghost face killer. And at the very end, they were just tripping too hard and they were just killing each other. That was
right. Oh man, that'd be actually awesome. That feels more like an Ari Aster movie, honestly.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's almost Midsummer. We almost described Midsummer just now.
All right, so the last two movies I wanted to mention: Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. This is starring Jake Gyllenhaal and I think the guy who plays the interpreter. His name is Dar Salim. I can't say I've seen him in anything before, but he has such a presence in this movie, and he's such a badass. Because there's plenty of good like military action where you get to see Jake Gyllenhaal and especially the interpreter just be badasses and knife dudes and one shot them and like stuff like that. Yeah, they're like good, even though they're just standard military. Like I can't remember what branch they were, but they're just standard military guys, right? So it's not like they're out there John Wicking everybody, but there's still enough satisfying action if you're going into the movie for that. I know it's weird to be like, yeah, kill a Taliban, it's a fun action, but like that's what the movie's going for now.
If this were 20 years ago, we'd be all about it. Like, yeah, kill those Taliban. Whoa, because we were weird times, guys. I don't think if you weren't there, it was weird.
The movie isn't really interested in exploring any of that, honestly. The whole
that's
like
really.
I was
really gonna ask that because it's a heated war and a heated topic these days. And,
right.
And
this is a recent story too. This is like a 2018, 2017 type story.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So this is like tail end. Everybody's burnt out and stuff like that. But
it doesn't really. It's not political or trying to make it like a
not really. The only thing that it gets political about, and I use that term loosely, is when the premise of the movie is, or at least they set up through text scroll at the beginning, is that the U.S. government has a visa program in place, like an emergency visa program in place, where they will extract the interpreters that help the troops in Afghanistan. They will just take them out of Afghanistan whenever their time is served and take their family members and move them here, and they get to live here as citizens or whatever. So like they have a visa program, but there was so much red tape that Jake Gyllenhaal was like trying to go through to get him over here. Because there's very specifically three parts of the movie. The first is where they meet, and then this is in the trailer. You can see that Jake Gyllenhaal gets attacked at some point, and then you see what the interpreter goes through to make sure he stays alive. It's kind of freaking wild. And the score is, I don't know who did the score, but it's amazing. Like it is selling the drama of this story. It's so good and very tense. It doesn't feel like a Guy Ritchie movie. It kind of felt like Wrath of Man in a way, where it was like, oh, this guy's he's shooting a thriller. He's not like, look at all the flair I have in my camera work and stuff like that. It's a more traditionally shot movie, but it is very tense. But yeah, there's a part like after Jake Gyllenhaal survives whatever the attack is, and this is all in the trailer. So unfortunately, that says the trailer revealed too much. But there is a point where he goes back home, and he's just troubled by the fact that the interpreter's still stuck in Afghanistan, and he's not being given the visas that he was promised. So then it becomes I'm going to go back and get him type story, and that's where Anthony Starr comes in, the guy who plays Homelander. He's only in it for like maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes total. He's not in it that long. But he is one of those contractor type characters, like one of those. What do they call those guys? It's not Blackgate, Blackwater. What do they call those guys? Those contractors that are like hitmen, basically.
Yeah, Blackwater, PMCs, private military companies.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, so he's one of those guys. Like you contract them out there to go, either do a hit, whatever you want to do, or to extract important people. Like they protect important people that the military just doesn't have the resources to do. So anyway. It's good, man. It's a really, really solid movie. Like it is really tense too. Like there's a shootout on a dam that is so good. It might be a little. For some people, it might tread a little too close to war porn territory. Like, oh, we're doing this war again. All right, and it feels a little masturbatory. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but I doubt I doubt it feels like Lone Survivor or Sniper or whatever.
American
you know,
Sniper,
like all those
kind of feel like that. Yeah.
Like all those raw type of American movies or whatever. So.
I don't think it feels like that. Evil Dead Rise, dude. This movie freaking rules.
Man.
You're gonna love the shit out of this one. This one and Beau Is Afraid.
I cannot wait to see this movie. Dude. I am such a huge fan of this franchise. Like
that's awesome, dude. And you know what? So is the director. Clearly, so is the director of this movie. Like he put so many homages in this. I mean, you see screenshots of the main girl, the final girl, whatever you want to call her, wielding a chainsaw. They're doing it deliberately. Like there's a part where she has a shotgun too, and then there's like this amazing like. Oh man, the third act is just so good. It's so
Can I ask one specific question that's not a spoiler?
Yeah.
Does somebody say groovy?
I don't remember hearing it. And if they did, it was probably like part of like it was probably like in a first act where the kids are talking to each other or something.
Yeah. And I missed groovy. Yeah.
All right. But they do say somebody says a line about doesn't he say like come get some or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
He says something along those lines, and one of the main characters did say something like that, which was great. I was like, oh, she's a badass.
Some sugar. Yeah, I don't know.
She says something like that. Something Duke Nukem-y.
Yeah.
Shake it, baby.
I'm all out of bubble gum.
But this has Alyssa Sutherland in it. She plays kind of the person that that becomes a Deadite, and she's from She was Ragnar's second wife.
She's the one that ruins Ragnar's life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much. Yeah.
I don't remember her.
She is so good in this. Like
She's great in that show too. Yeah.
She's doing a weird accent in this. I don't know what the deal. Like she's almost like she's trying to do a Southern accent, Americans, but she's Australian, so it's almost like she's struggling through it.
I didn't know she was Australian.
Because she becomes a Deadite, her voice eventually becomes so like modulated through like editing that it doesn't matter. You know, you don't notice an accent anymore because the devil's talking through her basically. Yeah, and then like the lead girl who plays like her sister, younger sister. I've never seen her before, but she's outstanding in this. I can't say I recognized anybody. I don't think there was anybody that you'll watch this and go, oh, I recognize them. You are more of an Evil Dead fan than I am, so you'll probably catch way more references than I did. I feel like some of them were more obvious that I could catch, and some were probably like hidden ones, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really great. And some of the gore is very much like, ooh, kind of like Scream 6 whenever people get stabbed. It's like that type of gore where you're like, stop, please, I'm very uncomfortable.
Too many people got stabbed in the face in Scream 6 where I'm like, hey, y'all are getting comfortable with knives and faces, all right? Which, by the way, a knife wouldn't penetrate through a skull, but we don't have to go there.
We don't have to get into that. The skull is much stronger than people give it credit for. Like, you would have to...
Yeah, it was still hard to watch. Yeah,
for sure.
That's interesting because like the last Evil Dead, I had a lot of the I forget that guy's name, the 2013 Evil Dead.
Yeah, the Fede. I think Fede Alvarez did that one.
Yeah, I had a really hard time with a lot, and in a good way. Like I show up to be like squeamish during these movies, and like there's like
many scenes.
You'll
get it tenfold in this movie. It's
there's so many scenes in that movie that like really made my skin crawl. So like there's
some household appliances, almost like torture movie scenes.
It's funny because like I'll accept that type of stuff here, but the second like it's hostile, I'm like that's just torture porn. Yeah. But I'm like I'll watch Evil Dead all day though. You know,
well, it's
some girl getting her skin burned off in a shower. You know, last
I think
movie.
It's because like when Eli Roth does it comes from a place of torture porn, and when a franchise like Evil Dead does it's kind of more like from a place of being cartoonish.
Cartoonish, and even
like you're very aware that it's playful. It's playful and as playful as it can be, and over the top. Exactly. Like there's so much blood at one point that I'm like, this is so dumb. Sure. Like this is so dumb. I love it. Like it's great. You're gonna love it when you get to it. It's awesome. I can't wait. Can't wait to talk about it more with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
That's all I had for new movies. I can't believe I got through all of them. That's kind of wild, actually. There's one movie that came out that's kind of a big deal. It's like the biggest movie on Apple right now, apparently, of all time. And we're not going to watch it. It's called Ghosted. We're going to ghost that movie.
We're going to ghost the movie.
Yep, exactly. And I love those two very attractive people in the lead roles, but I'm sorry.
I kind of wish that they would have babies, to be honest. But I'm not going to watch that movie.
They make sense on paper. They really do.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It's funny how they could have chemistry in a movie they were in before, and it sounds like they have no chemistry.
And they're supposed to be butting heads in that movie, like in Knives Out, but yet their chemistry is so palpable in that movie.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to me. Yeah, I really wanted this to be a Gray Man situation where it's like,
me too.
Maybe everyone's wrong. I'll watch it, but every time I watch
the trailer, she was in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. But every time I watch the trailer for this movie, I go, "This looks like dog shit." I'm not gonna watch that.
It just looks so painfully generic, like painfully.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
I just know it's gonna be a movie where he's like whining the entire time, and she's like, "Pull yourself together," you know. Like,
I saw a clip out of context, but he was still in the car and doing exactly what you're saying, where he's like, "Oh my God, I'm just so tired of not knowing what's going on," and you respect. He's literally sounds like a kid, like a boy whining. It's like unbearable. And apparently they got a bunch of MCU like old Captain America alumni like actors to come in and cameo in the movie, and I'm like, you couldn't have done that in a better movie. You couldn't have done that in The Gray Man. Like,
yeah, I saw that I think IGN said like the best part of this movie are the cameos, and that's it, or something like that. I'm like, all right. You know.
I bet they still gave it a 7 out of 10 though. That's IGN for you.
Yeah. Right. We hated it 7 out of 10, or we loved it 7 out of 10.
Right.
Anyway, sound like the IGN comment section right now.
There's one comment I saw on the last 7 out of 10 thing they reviewed that was like, it's almost like 7 out of 10 as this exists. 7 out of 10. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how it feels.
You don't know other numbers, or
use the whole spectrum. You're using only 10 numbers. You're not even using decimals anymore. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna move on to pick 5. Pick 5.
All right, I got to pull up my
the category this week is all built on hype. It is about the most anticipated summer movies coming out this year. And summer, at least as far as the box office, how they define it officially, I guess, in the industry, it starts on whenever Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes out. So the first weekend of May, and then Labor Day weekend is the last weekend. But usually by August it peters out. June and July, and I think some in May too. June and July are going to be very heavy, and then May is going to have some bigger ones. But August and September, beginning of September, whatever, it's going to peter out. You know, that's always happens every year.
Yeah.
So we each brought 5 of our own that we're most excited to see to the table. I don't think you're going to be able to predict at least 2 of these. So
you're going to predict every single one of mine, and you might even be mad by a couple of them. I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, I'll probably change it up, dude, just to mention some other movies. All right, so the first one I want to mention, because I know you're probably not going to mention it. I'm so stoked to see Joyride, dude. Every single time I see a trailer for Joyride, I laugh so hard, like it's some new bit that they're doing. This is the one starring Stephanie Shu's in it from Everything Everywhere All at Once, and there's some other actors I don't recognize, like on any level, but I'm still excited to see it because it's an R-rated like road trip comedy where they're going to Asia to like find themselves and stuff, and it looks so R-rated.
I went on a ride with this trailer because you shared it to a chat and I ignored it completely. I was like, sometimes, Jeff, man, you're sharing shit that I'm just like, I don't get that, and it's not often, but every once in a while, and I thought this is one of them. And I was forced to see it, I think, at John Wick or something.
It's been recently. In front of a lot of. They're pushing it really hard.
Yeah. I was like, oh god, this is that trailer Jeff showed. I guess I gotta watch it now. And I was laughing the entire time that trailer was on. I was totally cracking up. I was like, oh, I'm an asshole, right? I totally judged Jeff for sharing a good trailer, and I'm like, this piece of shit is trying to share, you know.
You thought I was sharing like.
I felt really bad. I remember having a lot of guilt like going into John Wick 4 because like I was like so standoffish about this trailer, and ended up I literally turned to my buddy that I went to see the movie with, and I go, that looks great. Because it does. I'm very excited for this.
I love a good old fashioned R-rated comedy, and there is another one coming out too that I don't know if I'll
There's
mention.
not a lot these days. There's not.
But yeah,
we just
don't. There's
get
two
a lot of,
that have been like consistently getting trailers, red band trailers, and all the R-rated movies that I've been seeing. That I'm like, wow, it's this movie again. I'm actually pretty excited for this. Like it's just not happening as much anymore. But now we're getting 2 this summer. That's awesome. What's one of yours, man?
I mean, this is surprising me because like even the DC movies I do like, I'm still kind of like, yeah, they're kind of shitty still though. You know, like they're nice, they're good with a caveat. You know, I am straight up. I legitimately like Birds of Prey. That's unfair, but like I do
too. But there's some stuff in it that you're like, oh come on, come on.
There's a lot of I'm just a girl moments, you know.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like, and I mean that like I'm making fun of like Captain Marvel, like where it's like I'm literally gonna play a song about like girls beating up people, and you know like girl. It's just too on the nose for me. Right. I'm all about girl power. Ahsoka's coming out. That's all female leads. I'm super. That's not that's not the problem. Yeah. It's that they're
I know what you mean.
It's just the way they present it is just kind of like cheesy. Anyways, I'm really excited for The Flash. I think that movie looks excellent.
Yeah.
We saw a trailer where we got the "You want to get nuts" line, and I was like, I'm fucking so all in this movie.
I know.
Like,
there was one of my friends was
he's
like,
Keanu Reeves. Michael Keaton is only going to be talking in like old quotes. It seems like because there was at least 4 things that he's already said before that were in across these couple trailers.
He says, and I'm like, Batman, and you want to get nuts. Yeah, I'm like,
I'm Batman. You want to get nuts? Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm in, dude. I'm in on all that. I really liked first off, I think Ezra Miller is just a dog shit actor. I don't like in these movies. I think I've liked him like Perks of Being a Wallflower and maybe a couple other things. But
well, he has he has the tragic story. Oh no, actually, Logan Lerman has the tragic story in that movie. My bad.
He still does pretty good
in the movie though. Yeah.
But like I think he's dog shit as Barry Allen, and like that's like not even because of like all of his like controversy and stuff like that. I just don't think he's good for the role at all. I think his line delivery is awful. I think he's very awkward. I know he's supposed to be like autistic or on the spectrum, that's what like what's his face was going for, Snyder. But like
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it comes off just more awkward and weird, and I don't know. I have no autistic
in a not fun way. like I watched the show Atypical, which has actual autistic people in it, and I'm like, oh, they handled this very delicately and carefully. Yeah. In the later seasons, especially when they started hiring more legitimately autistic people and stuff. And I watched this, and I'm like, what are they doing? Like, I just don't understand the goal of his performance sometimes.
But like, there's so many things about this movie that like rocks my world. Like, there's the moment in the last trailer where he like Batman has his like fist up and like Supergirl's behind it when he puts it down. I don't know, dude. I got really jazzed. I'm just like, this is gonna be so cool. Like, I think it's gonna be so awesome.
I don't think everybody's gonna be as high on it, but I feel like it's going to be. Nope, I can't even say that. I was gonna say I feel like it's gonna be this year's Top Gun Maverick because it comes out like the same time frame, but Tom Cruise already has a movie coming out that's gonna be his Top Gun Maverick.
yeah. Which hey, Walt, dude, might talk about that later, buddy.
I was like, you know what? Never mind. The next one, the first 2 I'm gonna mention are ones that I know you're not going to, so I'm just gonna mention them. The next one I have here is another one that's kind of female-led and female-directed. It's coming out the same day as what would hopefully be another masterpiece. Is Barbie, man? Let's talk about Barbie, bro. I'm a Barbie bro. Right. Okay, I'm a broby. All right.
Sure.
No, actually, this really comes from a place of like, I don't have any history or background on Barbie shit. I don't give a crap.
Wait, are you trying to tell me you don't know what Barbie is?
I don't give a crap about any of that stuff. It's almost like a compulsion. Like, I can't believe Greta Gerwig made this movie, who made 2 movies that I really, really like. Lady Bird, I loved the shit out of. Little Women, I thought was really great. She made 2 really exceptional movies that were like understated, and this is such a big blockbuster, and she cast like all of Hollywood in it, and I'm like, the only way all of these people would agree to do this movie, and it looks like that, is like if the script was that good. Like, there's just no way that it sucks. Like, there's no way that many people would agree to do it. I can't wrap my head around it if it sucks that bad, like. So it's more like a morbid curiosity, and that's why it's most anticipated, because it's like, I want to see this right now just to see what the hell it is.
Yeah, right. Show me what it is. Yeah,
exactly. Sure. And mostly because I love her stuff and I love her writing style, and
it's good.
How familiar she is with the characters that she writes. And I'm curious to see how she does with what I perceive to be more shallow material. Like, it's not going to be some earth-shattering, like, oh wow, this really spoke to me on a deep level. At least that's not what I'm expecting from it. So I'm curious how she's going to do it like a blockbuster.
I'm wondering if it's going to have like Lego movie vibes and stuff like that.
I hope so. I mean, I think Will Ferrell's even in it. I mean, who isn't in this movie, for crying out loud?
Yeah, sure.
So what's another one of yours?
It's a no duh one. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, sweet.
Duh. Yeah. Like one of the greatest. It's a sequel to one of the greatest like superhero movies ever, and that's true.
Yeah. That's
and
factual.
I like, it's so weird that we just like don't know much about it other than it looks really cool and we've seen a couple scenes, but like
yeah,
we're all kind of
we've
going
seen
in
a
kind of
couple
blind, which I
scenes
really
with
like.
a shit ton of Spider-Men. Like it's almost like there's
They're
a
all
hub
pointing at
full
each
of
other.
nothing but Spider-Men.
Yeah.
And
seems like maybe Spider-Man is bad, and like he's trying to stop. That's
I
kind
just
of
feel
the
like
vibe I
their
got.
intentions are crossed. Like their goals are kind of mixed. Like
Yeah.
I don't think one of them's bad. I think
that's not the right word.
Like 2099
the antagonist
guy,
of the movie
Oscar
is a Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oscar Isaac's character. I forget his Miguel
2042
2099 guy. Yeah,
2099, whatever it is.
So I think he is like they just have opposing goals to me, like kind of like Captain America Civil War, where they're like, this is the way we got to do it. That's just a guess though, because the trailers have been doing so well at like disguising what the hell the movie's about. So I genuinely have no idea. But yeah, I'm excited for everybody that's involved.
I know the music's going to be good. It's going to look. You know. Yeah, I think the music's going to be great. It's going to look good. It's going to deliver. I've got like like these poor guys. They got kicked off of Solo, right? Or these Lord
Miller like produced these movies, I think.
Yeah. So it's just like I'm glad that they were freed up to like a movie like this. So thanks, Kathleen Kennedy.
I know. Yeah, now it's Sony's sloppy stuff. This is the only good thing Sony has. Let's be real. So,
dude, Sony sucks. Everything.
Yeah, Sony is terrible
in the movieverse.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie's an exception, obviously. It looks like Lord and Miller actually co-wrote the story with somebody.
I thought that they were more involved in producing.
They were definitely more involved with this. I think Into the Spider-Verse. I don't even think they wrote it. Yeah, it looks like just one of them wrote the first one. Okay. So this is both of them. This is a duo. And
yeah, I just they're funny people, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm glad that they are finding a place to put all that, and I'm glad Sony's at least doing it because their track record of like superhero movies just sucks like big time.
Oh,
you excited for Craven?
There's a villain.
I'm excited this exists.
There is a villain whose body is covered by interdimensional portals that allows him to travel to different universes, and that's played by Jason Schwartzman. So I think that is probably the crux of like the movie. I would imagine, but it sounds. If I were to guess, I would guess that Miles and Spider-Man 2099, Miguel, whatever.
You have to put their differences aside.
They have like a different means to solve the problem, and one of them is more extreme than the other, something like that. And it's interesting that like barely anybody else is back. Like I don't think John Mulaney's back. I don't think Nick Cage is back. And you know what? I think I'll be okay. I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're exploring different types of Spider-Man, there's hundreds of different types of Spider-Man. Yeah. So,
And they got Daniel Kaluuya, for crying out loud, to be Spider-Punk. And I can't wait to see Spider-Punk, dude. That's going to be
Spider-Punk's awesome, dude. Yeah.
British. Yeah, so it's going to be fun. He's going to be, bottle of water, bottle of water.
Bottle of water.
I'm really stoked for that movie. That would have been one of mine too, but you mentioned it, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit. All right. Okay. Let's go with Guardians 3 feels a little obvious.
I for whatever reason didn't remember that one. So.
Oh, interesting. Did you already buy a ticket for it? Maybe that's it. Because I already bought my ticket.
No, I don't know. I think I heard the date, and since numbers don't make sense to me, like I was just like, oh, okay, so June and on, and you're like, no, that's not what I said.
Quote unquote officially starting. Like, remember when they moved Avenger Endgame's release date a week ahead? Like, it came out a week before it was supposed to. And everybody was like, but that's not the summer box. Like, I was part of a summer box office pool. And all of us were like, so do we include Endgame? What do we do? Like, all of us were so confused because it's the first weekend of May. That's when it starts.
You already brought it up, so let's at least just say it's getting really good reviews. The word of mouth is amazing. It's probably going to be awesome. So yeah.
I'm excited as hell for Guardians.
I like how everyone's quitting too. What's her face who plays Gamora? She's like, I'm done.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, and I respect they're all running.
They're like James Gunn. Even he's obviously very vocal on Twitter about everything he's doing in his life, including writing. And he was very vocal about like, no, this is a story, resolving the Guardians, these specific Guardians, their arc. It's not like, oh, let's plug in multiverse stuff in here. Like he's like, I had no direction on that at all. He was like, I'm just telling a story about these characters and their journey, and that's it. And I'm like, thank God. Anyway, not that I don't love what Marvel's been doing. I just prefer these characters having their own consolidated story. I've talked way more about Guardians than I wanted to for one I'm not picking. So I'm gonna pick Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, the Seth Rogen produced I think Evan Goldberg produced it as
well.
I
like the visual style of this one.
Yeah, the visual style is very Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's very akin to that type of vibe. And I think Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I think they did the same thing where they were like, let's adapt some of that style.
We got a trend going on here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not only the style, and I know it was like kind of a short trailer and they didn't really show the turtles talking a lot, but they got teenagers voicing them and they're making teenager jokes, and like it's just I feel like I don't know, the jokes were very funny in the trailer, so I feel like this one's gonna be like kind of have its finger on the pulse of what TMNT is supposed to be. At least that's where my expectations are. Hopefully I don't overhype myself a little bit, but I'm very excited.
Well, the last couple live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies were amazing, right? They were so good. So
yeah, Megan Fox was the best actor in them.
We can only go up from here. Remember how good the turtles looked? We all agreed that they.
We all agreed. They definitely didn't change them from 1 to 2.
They didn't.
At all.
They didn't change them to look more turtle-like, which made us all uneasy and mad. Some of us mad.
I think the voice cast is pretty great. You know, the teenagers aside, who I don't. Some of them are like, who are these people? They're that unknown to me. I think John Cena's a voice character. Yeah. John Cena is Rocksteady. Okay. Jackie Chan is Splinter, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Rose Byrne is Leatherhead. Hannibal Buress is Genghis Frog.
Okay, nice.
Oh, Ayo Edeberry is April O'Neil. She's great on The Bear. She's really great on that show. And then Giancarlo Esposito is Baxter Stockman. Yeah, you're not going to recognize any of these kids that are voicing the turtles because they're kids. They're genuinely kids. Seth Rogen is Bebop. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd, Maya Rudolph. John Cena. We're like friends.
We're like totally gonna kill these turtles.
And then John Cena's gonna be like, well, that's that. Now that is a different wrestler, dude.
Well, that's all over the place.
I know. Just imagine him doing like a wrestler voice. But yeah, the voice cast is great. You know, the turtle, and I just love that they're kids. Let's have them be kids.
Yeah.
I got all the right vibes from just one trailer, so I'm really stoked for that. Yeah, what's another one of yours?
It probably would have been on yours, but you're not choosing a list from the heart. You're choosing it to be different.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm kidding. That's a joke. That's good. I like it because now we get to talk about more movies. Oppenheimer. I'm a Nolan cuck. You're a Nolan cuck. We're all cucking for Nolan.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong about Barbie coming out the same day. I'm still seeing this first.
Yeah. No, everyone wouldn't have let you do otherwise. So,
they wouldn't have let me live it down. Yeah.
We're gonna intervention you before you see Barbie first. Like, sorry, buddy, I know you bought tickets to Barbie, but we're holding you here because we got tickets at 6 p.m. for Interstellar. Or whatever.
Do you have an IMAX near you, or?
Yeah. In fact, that's the next closest place to me is an IMAX.
Oh, okay. Because I was considering just seeing it day one IMAX. Like, why not? You know, like.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunately gonna have to be how I see all my movies. I know, shucks. Well, IMAX.
What a bummer.
And it's like a real one. Like it's not like one of those we're an IMAX screen.
Yeah,
like
the one
IMAX screen.
The one in Dallas that you're probably familiar with is the one that's
we went to see Interstellar.
It's almost
there, yeah.
Yes, we did. It's almost like a half of an IMAX screen almost. Like I saw 2001 there too, and that was freaking amazing. But it's still like just a bigger regular movie screen. Like it's not.
Oh, I think we saw Interstellar on like a real IMAX screen. I thought.
Oh yeah, we did.
We go to... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we saw it there, but it's just the fact that I've been to actual IMAX.
Oh, you're talking like Fairgrounds IMAX.
Yeah, like Omni or whatever, where it's like the whole dome, and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But you still get the sound quality that the IMAX delivers. And I know Oppenheimer is not expected to be like some crazy fantasy or space movie, but it's still, Nolan doesn't put it in IMAX just to waste time. There's still going to be a spectacle to it.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, is he really blew up a miniature town with a real nuke or whatever. So
yeah.
So whatever that means. Yeah.
They're doing CinemaCon right now, which is it's not Comic-Con. It's not anything like that. It's studios going to theater investors and owners and going, here's why you should play our movies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And giving them confidence basically to keep showing their movies. But Christopher Nolan he was part of WB's panel, and I have to look it up because he had a quote that kind of made me go, shut up, dude. But I'm still pumped for the movie. But he said something like, I'm scrolling to find it. Hey, Fast X Part 2 comes out in 2025, Kyle. Anyway, I like how we're like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Didn't the director walk off the other one?
Yeah, he did.
Now, you guys, that's your movie.
I think they did announce the guy that replaced that director is Louis.
Is doing the next one.
Yeah, he's going to do the next one. I think it's Louis Leterrier. I don't know how to say his last name.
He seems like a tried and true choice, so I'm really glad they went with him.
Yeah, I know, right?
Here's what he said. Half of a movie.
Here's what he said. It's the way he said it that made me go, "Come on, Nolan." He goes, "Like it or not, Robert Oppenheimer is the most important person who ever lived." Oh, I don't know about that, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe to modern times.
I would say he'd like change. Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't create writing, but you know what I mean. Like that's probably the most important person of all time. The guy who created like spoken or written language, but like, yeah, I would say, and I mean, I get what he's trying to say, but it's a pretentious thing to say.
Yeah,
he changed the entire way that we conduct warfare. Like we're all so careful now. Like
it's true. That is true, and that's what he went on to say. He made the world that we live in for better or worse. And then he made it sound like Oppenheimer has this crazy story you got to see to believe. And it's like there's so much documentation on this guy. Like I'm pretty sure we know most of it, but
my boss is like, I know everything about this guy. I don't know how this movie is going to be like thrilling or action packed. I'm just like, I mean, me neither. I know enough about him to know that like he, you know, like he wasn't like doing espionage shit. Like he wasn't sneaking around or anything. So.
I'm so pumped for the cast. I mean, basically everybody in Hollywood that was not in Barbie or Asteroid City is in this movie, and I'm so freaking pumped. Like,
it looks cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I know there are some because I know some of this stuff was like under wraps, like what they were doing, the Manhattan Project. So like, there's probably gonna be some cloaks and daggers shit going on. But like, I'm really interested to see because Nolan's not gonna deviate from history. Like, he's gonna like stick to kind of what happened, dramatize what he needs to, but like, you know, kind of keep everything as tight and needy as possible. It's gonna be good, man. I got no qualms about what's happening with this movie.
Not only is it gonna be good, knock on wood, because we haven't seen everything that this year is gonna offer, but please let this be the one that gets Nolan the best picture, man. That would be fucking awesome.
It'd be cool. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Again, we haven't seen everything everywhere all at once. No, but we haven't seen seen everything that's come out. You know, sometimes you don't know until the fall what's gonna hit the award circuit.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, we didn't get a clear winner in the first quarter, like you know, so like
last year we did, but like this year,
I like John Wick. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna be like, I mean, that's gonna win movie of the year, or am I like so sure that it's gonna be my number one of the year? You know, I really like that movie, but like I don't know. When I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, I was like, this is the best movie I've seen in the last 10 or 15 years.
Exactly.
You know, like
that's exactly how I felt. Yeah.
It hit in such a way where I'm like, this is gonna win a lot.
This is universal. Like it's everything. Yeah, exactly. It's touching on like every not hot button issue, but like every possible interest an individual person could have, and maybe that's too overwhelming for some people's brains, but it is
Everything Everywhere, and it was all at once.
It lived up to the title, that's for sure. The next one I'm gonna pick, and I'm not gonna deviate this time. Let's just go ahead and talk about Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I don't want to. It's not on my list. It's not on my list. I don't care about that movie.
Oh, you don't care about these movies? Actually, you feel like the quality of the movies
I've seen all of these, and I've hated every one of them. You know, every single
Your favorite is the first one, and the rest are shit. I got you.
No, dude, the last movie, it was like one of the best action movies I saw in a long time. I was just like, Fallout is the most competent action movie I've seen in a long time. In a world where like we're all trying to like chase that raid, this was like way more of a classic. You know, it's not a action. Fisticuffs type of movie. It's just a class. We got helicopters. We got bathroom fights. We got fisticuffs. We got shootouts. We got like it's a classic action movie.
As producer, I feel like he's driving a lot of what they do because we know how hands-on he is about his movies. He diddles his movies is what I'm trying to say. No, sorry, that's inappropriate. But he finally recognized at a certain point, maybe it was during filming 4, maybe 3 even, because 3 even upped the ante from like quality wise, obviously, but in terms of like what Mission Impossible really means. And it means doing elaborate set pieces not to a point where it's like, that's ridiculous, that would never happen, but to a point where it's like, that is so cool. Like, I can't believe somebody was able to do that. And he does it in a way where it looks freaking like it's really happening. Because most of the time it is now. Like, Tom Cruise is that nuts.
Yeah, no, I was like, man, that helicopter scene was really wired. It's like, yeah, he was flying it the whole time. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You mean like a stunt guy pretending to be him? Like, no, Tom Cruise learned how to fly helicopters and do like controlled dives with them.
When he was talking to himself, like, because I think it was just him and a camera that was just planted there. And he's talking to himself and like going through okay, Gears. I think that was real. I think he was really talking to himself and reminding himself of like, okay, here's what we're gonna do.
It's a candid moment.
Yeah, like I something in me just like, or maybe he's just that damn good because he is an actor after all. But every single time, and I've seen this trailer pop up, I think 3 times now because I went to the theater a lot the last weekend. I've seen it pop up like 3 times now. They are hitting the ground running with the marketing of this movie, and every time I see the trailer, I'm like, I get chills every single time.
Yeah, dude. I'm like beyond pumped for this movie, and talk about like an all-star cast of like people who I just like absolutely love. You know, with Rebecca Ferguson and even Ving Rhames and stuff like that. I'm just like Simon Pegg. I'm all in on all of these people.
And all the new players too, like Haley Atwell and I don't know how to say her name, but the actress who plays Mantis is in it. And
oh, I love her. Yeah.
And then you got the returning guy who played the director of IMF in the first movie. He's back too. He opens the trailer. Like, it's such a great scene. Yeah, dude. I'm just so dude.
I'm pumped, dude. I'm pumped for this movie.
Yeah. I know we've all seen the footage by now, even when he filmed it on set and in the trailer of him doing the skydive. But imagine what they're not showing us. Like, that's the thing that I'm most eager to see.
Yeah. Like, that's gonna transition into like an even crazier sequence or something. Like, and then he lands on a moving train, and it's like, I'm like, fuck out of here! You did what?
Oh man, I'm so pumped. I think was that 4 for me.
Yeah, that's. I'm on my last one.
You're on your last one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because that's one of mine. Yeah.
Mission okay, Impossible. Cool. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just keep going.
Okay.
The other R-rated comedy, by the way, I was referring to when I talked about Joyride was Strays. It's the Will Ferrell. Yeah. Will Ferrell's voicing a dog, and it looks very funny, actually.
I've seen the trailer. Yeah.
And they showed it a ton by this point. I'll just go with I'm torn between 2. I'll just go with Elemental. It's a new Pixar movie. What is there?
Okay, cool.
Not to expect from it. Like, you're just gonna get everything you love about Pixar. Like, these guys make high concept movies for kids and adults technically, but it looks like another movie where with an elaborately built out world, where the way I just love when they do that. Like in Zootopia they did that. Well, it wasn't Pixar, but in Zootopia they did that thing where like the world is very established and they had all these like jokes tucked away pertaining to how animals interacted with each other. And in this movie they're doing it with elements, and even in just the teaser that I saw, I was like, this is going to be one of the most clever movies ever made. Like, it's just going to be
masters of world building. Even when Pixar takes something that we're like supposed to kind of know about, like, hey, like fish in the ocean, they still build their own kind of world of how Pixar
like they
work.
They are the reason that Turtles, whenever we look at Turtles now, they were like, oh, whoa, dude, like we just can't get the surfer voice out of our head.
This, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We can't get that voice out of our head now. Or there's the forgetful fish, Dory or whatever. So Pixar's had some misses, and not anytime. Like, I think that The Good Dinosaur was the last time I was like, "What are you doing?" Maybe it might be Finding Dory. Finding Dory from like 7 years ago was the last time I was like, "What are you doing, Pixar?" But like, I loved Incredibles 2. I loved like Soul was amazing. Onward wrecked me.
Soul was so good. Onward's great. I like Onward a lot. Yeah.
I can't even remember if they had a movie. Oh yeah, Turning Red was last year, and that was actually really enjoyable too.
I didn't see that one. Yeah.
It's good, man.
I'll have to double back. Yeah.
There might be too much pop music for you, because it is about.
I hate pop music. Yeah.
But she like loves boy bands, and I think Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas, I think they wrote some of the songs for them, which is awesome. I don't think they performed. Cool. Phineas might have. So I thought that element was cool, but it's also like there's not as much of a world that they built. Kind of like with Soul and Onward, they built a world for those movies, at least rules within the world. And in Turning Red, it was more like lore oriented. It was more like a human story, but there's some lore about turning into a red panda. So to the fantasy elements and stuff like that. But yeah, with Elemental, it's just pure concept, pure, completely different world full of elements, obviously from school, like basic ground level. It's much like Soul, where you're like, what it even means to be a soul. Man, it's going to be good. I don't even know who's voicing anybody in this movie. I didn't even care to look. But yeah, what's your last one?
I've been burned before, Jeff. I've been burned pretty bad with this franchise. All right, one time. But the other 3 in this franchise are some of my favorite movies of all time. And after seeing 2 trailers for the new Indiana Jones movie, I'm gonna be
man,
very honest with you. I'm gonna be super honest with you. This is if we were ranking these, this is my number one most excited. And it just feels good to be excited about Indiana Jones again, because like I realize that my hatred for Crystal Skull like skews on the side of like why like how Star Wars fans act like Star Wars. I'm like, that movie raped my childhood and blah blah. So I'm pumping the brakes these days because that's crazy. Like, that's crazy talk. It's a crazy way to like say things and stuff like that. It's a bad movie and a great franchise, and I hope it was a misstep. And now those guys are gone. James Mangold is in. That guy's got some hits underneath his belt. I'm really hoping that this is like a really good movie. And I thought the 2 trailers that they've showed have been just fucking awesome. I thought they've been so cool.
I've really dug it. My only man, this is the biggest bummer that I could possibly share, I guess, is my only hang up is I didn't grow up with these movies. Like I only watched them. I remember I specifically remember talking to somebody. My brother was like, I don't think it was his. No, it might have been the person that he ended up marrying, who was talking about the Indiana Jones movie and how much she loved them and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'd never seen them. And she's like, you love movies and you've never seen those movies? So I didn't see them until I was in my in adulthood.
Yeah.
And I love Raiders a shit ton.
It's sure, so yeah. I can
Last Crusade as well. I love it. But I never saw the enjoyable.
It's not great. I'll
that's
tell
what I heard. Yeah.
You see how I was nicer with that wordage, I've grown, Jeff. I'm a mature man.
You matured. And let me tell you, Steven Spielberg loves this movie. He saw it, and I saw that, yeah. Yeah, he said, I love his quote where he was like, I turned to the group and I said, damn, I thought I was the only one who knew how to make one of these. And I was like, well, turns out you didn't know how to make the 4th one, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you stumbled pretty hard on that one, buddy.
What about that, dude?
There's aliens, right? I'm like, all right, whatever. I know it's it's Uncharted, so like every movie has like a moment where you're like, oh, there's some mysticism going on here. That's kind of weird. But like, they really jumped the shark with the 4th one. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Not the movie. The situation.
I'll still watch it. You know what? I'll still watch it, and then best case scenario, the 5th one's going to be a palate cleanser, and it's going to be like, oh yeah, this series is great.
Maybe watch 5 and then 4. So, because I would hate for you to watch 4 and be like, I'm not even going to watch 5.
No, I don't think that'll happen.
No, that's mean. I was being mean again. Sorry. It's not that bad. It's just kind of bad.
Not that good. It's not that good.
It's just not that good. Yeah.
Oh,
so I'm really excited for this movie.
Taika Waititi's next movie. I didn't even get to watch that yet. Interesting. His soccer movie that he had to do reshoots on because Armie Hammer likes to eat people or whatever.
He eats people. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had to reshoot with Will Arnett. And it's finally coming out.
Army.
Disney's finally
releasing. Yeah, those two are so parallel. Handsome ass Armie Hammer and fucking goofy looking
Will Arnett. I'm just gonna talk like this. What if you have somebody who talks like this the whole movie? I don't know.
I've made a huge mistake.
I know. The only movie I was torn between Elemental and Asteroid City was the other one because I loved French Dispatch and Isle of Dogs so much.
I am a huge Wes Anderson fan.
Yeah,
that's coming out in the summer. So
it's a summertime movie.
You know what? Fuck The Flash. That one's on my Flash. You're fucking taking a hike. You're probably gonna disappoint me anyways. Let's get real.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing you're gonna like is Michael Keaton, and he's in like not even half the movie. Let's be real.
He's probably gonna be in 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, Asteroid City. It looks like, and I know people have like criticized it for being like it's white, and I'm like, yeah, Wes Anderson writes white people stories doing white people shit.
Well, it's also like supposed to be like
so inauthentic if he did anything else,
Isn't it supposed to be like the 50s or something too, or the aesthetic?
Well, he makes anachronistic things though, right? Like he kind of makes things out of time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and I only say that because the alien craze and like hotels.
Yeah, the way they were handling
it. That's very 1950s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah, it seemed like they weren't able to communicate in a modern way. They were using like hello, like those fucking phones or whatever.
Well, my point is those times were white. They were white times,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like it would be so inauthentic. Just be like, why doesn't Wes Anderson just suddenly tell a story about nothing but like people of color? And it would like.
I don't want to hear a story from a white guy about people of color. I just don't like that. Doesn't interest me. It doesn't seem authentic to me.
There's delicate ways to do it, and I would rather somebody like Wes Anderson not do it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I feel like if he did it, it'd be like, what the fuck? This guy has no idea what people are going through.
But he has such his own style. Like, I don't know if there's a delicate way that he could do it. You know what I mean? Like,
people just come away going, he doesn't know how to shoot. He doesn't know how to shoot, frame people of color. He doesn't know how to light them. He doesn't know how to do this, that, and whatever. He's staying in his lane, and I'm totally cool with it. Like, so when people bitch about that, I'm just like, yeah, I'd rather he not, because he's not the type of director who can stretch that way, to me. So, and I'd rather he not,
agree.
But anyway, I'm still pumped as shit for that movie because, like I said, French Dispatch, that was like an accidental love because I walked away from.
We saw that movie together.
Yeah, that was the second time I saw it. So like I saw it the first time and I liked it. Like I was like, yeah, I enjoyed that. And then when I saw it again, I was like, no, I fucking love this movie. Like, see y'all's reaction to like, especially like the car chase sequence and stuff like that. Like, I was just like, yeah, this movie rules. It's so.
I had such a good time with that movie.
Yeah, I actually can't wait to watch it again already. I did the same thing with Isle of Dogs. I was like, yeah, this movie's freaking great.
Yeah. I like the Grand Budapest Hotel. I like all of his movies. I'm a huge fan.
I haven't seen that one again. I need to watch that again.
Oh, that's such a good rewatch.
I know,
man.
I've heard. But yeah, that's our pick 5 for this week. I'm gonna see what the top 5. I probably guess what number 1 is still. I'm gonna see what the pick 5 is for America. See what they did at the box office this weekend. Yeah, I was right. Number 1 is still Super Mario Brothers movie. I didn't. Wow. Not surprised.
Well, I'm so shocked.
I know, so shocked. The movie that kids can go to is still the highest grossing at the box office. Number 2, so happy it's doing this well. Evil Dead Rise.
Good, awesome.
Yeah. And it's like not even that far of a drop. Like Super Mario made 59 million, and Evil Dead made 24. That's a really good number for a low budget movie. That's really good. I'm guessing it's low budget. And then number 3 is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. It actually came in at 6 million, which is not great, but for a debut. But it's like for a Guy Ritchie, like kind of like it's not a spectacle movie. Like the Jason Statham movie had all these people in it. It's an ensemble cast. This is not that, So oh crap, you're muted. Dang it. How dare you?
It doesn't even feel like a guy. It doesn't even feel like a Guy Ritchie.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's a little understated, even though there's big action sequences. Number 4, still doing strong, is John Wick Chapter 4. So happy for this movie's success. It is total gross has been 168 million in this country. And then number 5 is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I'm sure you'll be able to see that very soon. At the rate that things are dropping now online, on streaming and stuff like that, you're totally gonna be able to see it soon.
I'm excited to be surprised by that movie.
It's a good home watch, honestly. Like the fact that you're gonna be sitting at home watching it with still probably low expectations because.
Yeah, no, I
look at it. Look at the trailers.
There's so many of y'all are like, it's so good. I'm like, it's not. They can't.
you're already gonna be in a better place. Like
I'm excited to be proven wrong.
Money going to a theater, you'd be like, this better be good. But if you're at home, it's just different.
Yeah. It's gonna hit. I think it's gonna hit perfect. So.
Yeah, you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna be entertained by it. At least there's that. But yeah, that's all we got this week, man. Next week, whenever we record next, is gonna be more simple because they're slowing down the releases now. Jesus Christ, that was insane. The fact that they released that many movies in a theater in one weekend. I never want to hear the phrase "I'm worried about the theater stopping." Yeah. Remember that?
Even though my theater did die, but
yeah, it did. But like you were saying, how traffic was getting slower every single time.
No, the numbers speak. The numbers speak. You know what I mean? Like those all seem like pretty normal like numbers if they release in a non-COVID world. So
yeah, you know what? I will say this, and I said this on Twitter, like when people were sounding the alarm, when theaters kept closing and stuff, or when they kept it wasn't just that. Theaters were temporarily closing, of course, during COVID, but when people like HBO and I think Disney did it too, they kept dropping stuff on streaming platforms, and everybody was like, "We need it in a theater," and I'm like, "You guys, can you just imagine what this world is going through collectively right now with COVID and just fucking settle down? Like, just settle down. There's an end to this at some point." And I think we're officially at the end based on how last weekend went. Holy shit.
Yeah. We're back, baby. Hollywood's back.
I'm not saying COVID's over, but Hollywood's certainly acting like it. And, stop bitching, basically, is all I'm trying to say. Stop being alarmist immediately. You don't have to be that way. But yeah, the next time, I think it would make sense to reconvene for Guardians, to maybe do a spoiler cast on it.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do the week after that. So that would be like 2 weeks away. But if we want to meet sooner to talk about Sisu or whatever, I'm down. We'll figure it out. But yeah, if y'all keep watching, we'll keep making it. I don't think anybody's watching at this point, but that's fine too. This is for us, baby. I love chatting movies with Kyle. It's a favorite
pastime. Talk movies somewhere. Yeah. With somebody who knows movies.
Right. How else am I supposed to get this out? Am I supposed to keep it to myself? Who the fuck does that? That's weird.
Internalize?
That's serial killer shit. No, we got to podcast every single thought. All right. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. You can find the podcast on Twitter at current_cinema. Obviously, you can find us on all the podcasting platforms. We are powered by Anchor, so that means we're going to be on everything. Spotify. That's the only thing I can think of is Spotify for some reason. Apple Podcasts, I think. I don't.
Yeah. All your podcasting podcasters.
Yeah, we are a podcast. We are so official that we have we don't have sponsors. I shouldn't have said that. Brought to you by Manscaped. Hey, you got a big ass bush? All right, so no, we're not brought to you by Manscaped. Anyway, remember when you did fake ads on our old podcast?
I love the fake ads. They were like off the like no one knew what they were going with until they were halfway through their like poll or whatever or their pitch.
Well, you could say we were the ones that broke new ground in that area with the Dudesy ads and Dudesy ripping us off.
Dudesy mugs just ripped us off. Tom Hanks, I'm coming for you. AI Tom Hanks, I'm coming for you. Right?
Good job, Boner.
It's a real.
Go watch that podcast if you're not, or listen to it. Whatever. Watching it's way better, but go watch that if you haven't yet. It's Will Sasso's new podcast. It's really really funny, involving an AI.
I am Dudesy. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Davesy. But yeah, thanks for listening if you did or watched, whatever. And see you soon. Yay. Oh, I pitched. I forgot. Sorry. I am so sorry, everybody.